Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 1, Episode 14. The Reunion Part 1. Okie doke. I just got finished watching the reunion and came right down here to talk to you guys about it. For some inexplicable reason, I have 12 and a half pages of notes. I know, too many. OCD, guys, it's no fun. I'm going to try and just kind of breeze through it quickly, and I will probably edit out stuff that's dumb and unimportant. I know, that would be the whole recap. But you know what I mean. Let's just say the stuff that nobody cares about. Okay, it's 7 a.m. in New York City, and the ladies are getting out of cabs and Ubers, and they're showing up at the studio. And then, we get some backstage action with them getting ready and chatting. And Andy goes and talks to each one of them about an hour before the show starts. Mary, can I just say, I love Mary's dress. I do. The color is gorgeous. You know what? Just this second, I was realizing I think there is a theme to how they're dressed, or like a color scheme. I think it might be like copper and warm colors, like orangey red, because as I'm thinking about everybody else, Heather is in like a very pale gold dress, I think. But yeah, like Meredith has copper in her dress. Whitney's dress is red, but more of like an orangey red, actually, I think. So yeah, that might be the theme. Anyway, Mary's dress, the color I love. Of course, I'm hoping that the collar and cuffs are faux fur, but I'm into this look. Okay, so now everyone goes out on the set. The set looks like a ski lodge at Christmas time. It's so pretty, so gorgeous. Who was it that looked like they were in a bare warehouse and somebody threw a bunch of rugs on the floor? Was that New York City? Let's just say props to the set designers this time. I don't know if it's the same ones. Maybe they were going for something I didn't understand, a very minimalist look before, but this is detailed and snowy and cozy. I like it. And every last one of these women look beautiful. Andy starts by greeting the ladies as usual, and he said, "Wonderful freshman season, ladies. Dare I say 2 thumbs up?" And everybody laughs. When he says hello to Lisa, he said something like, "Does God care that you're running a tequila company?" And she goes, "God will never care, Andy." And Andy goes, "Did you ask him?" And she goes, "I ask him every day. Oh my God, he loves it." Okay, so during these introductions, and this is just the softball stuff, we can see which of the ladies are friends with each other and which ones are not. When Lisa is laughing about something, the camera cuts to Meredith and she is stone-faced. Then Lisa's going on about, God is blessing me with selling more tequila. And we cut over to Heather. She looks like she's about ready to vomit. So, okay. Mental note, Heather and Meredith, not good with Lisa. Next, Andy is teasing Whitney about the stripper pole. "Did you bring it with you?" And she's like, "I couldn't get it on the plane, Andy." That gets a big laugh out of Meredith, so apparently those two are good. Andy says, "Oh, that's too bad. I wanted to get some lessons." And Lisa goes, "I'd like to get lessons too." So you would think that means that Lisa and Whitney are good, but well, just wait. Now he's talking to Heather, and he said, "Did I hear that Rihanna reached out to you on Instagram?" And she said, "Yeah, she DM'd me and said, 'Keep it real.' And I said, 'Oh my God, Rihanna, you are everything.' And she texted me back and said, 'No, you are.'" And as she's so excited, camera cuts to Lisa. And Lisa's got this face. So yeah, is this about Lisa saying she didn't know who she was in college? Because I I thought we had gotten past that. Of course, these ladies have just watched the show now, and so that's what happens with these reunions. You find out everything that was said in the confessionals or in scenes that you weren't in. So, yeah. That's what makes the reunions interesting. These ladies finally see everything that we saw. Oh, wait, did I say that all the ladies look amazing? Jen looks like she's in a Jasmine costume, let's just say. And I would know because Jasmine was my daughter's favorite Disney princess. And, this bugs me because any one of the elements would have been okay. Just the over-the-top dress, but with her hair normal, fine. Her hair in that crazy I Dream a Genie braid, if she were wearing something understated, possibly could have worked. But everything all together, it's gaudy. It's too much. And Jen is beautiful. I'm not understanding this. Plus, her hair is pulled so tight she can barely open her eyes. I had pulled my hair back in a ponytail like that when I was doing Jen from New Jersey. I was doing a little bit where I was dressed as Jen, and my head hurt so bad that I can't even imagine through the hours and hours of filming that they're doing that Jen doesn't have a headache. Andy asks her if they're going to get Zen Jen today, and she said, yeah, I think so, unless someone makes me turn up. Mental note, Meredith did not like that. So now I'm wondering about Meredith and Jen. A viewer called out Mary on her wigs being horrible throughout the season. And Mary goes, I know, it was bad. And that really hurt me. I just kind of threw a wig on. The viewer was asking, are there no salons in Salt Lake City for Black women? And I guess she kind of said no, but the weird thing is, Mary flaunts how much money she has. Come on. You don't have a hairstylist on your payroll? Ask Jen Shah if you can borrow one of hers. I mean, it didn't quite add up. I'm not sure why, with all her designer clothes and everything she's concerning herself with, why she doesn't care about her hair. I don't know. It was weird. I mean, it was rude of somebody to say that to her, of course. But at the same time, why would she skimp on her hair, Whitney talks about the big swinger community with the Mormons. She said, well, it's not just a Mormon thing, but yeah, there's a lot. I know some. And Lisa, I don't know anybody like that. No. Lisa does not want the Mormons to get a bad name because, she loves being a Mormon. Then there's a viewer question from Meredith asking her if she's surprised that Jen made fun of Brooks's clothing line. Jen had said, I mean, it's one sweatsuit. That's not like a whole collection, which it's not. Meredith was like, 100% that surprised me. It wasn't that comment that bothered me so much because it's true. Brooks only has one piece. But it was the constantly talking about him on social media that really bothered me. Jen, of course, denies that. She wants Meredith to take that back. She said, I never mentioned Brooks. Oh, come on, you did it all the time. And she goes, never once. So Andy said, was it about the vagina? And Jen said, yes. But I was careful not to mention, Brooks by name. Andy's like, we're going to get into that later. And Heather goes, we're going to get into the vagina later. Heather cannot pass something like that up. Now a viewer calls Jen out for hosting Meredith's birthday party, but making it all about her. This is interesting because Meredith said the harder part for me was that the party was actually on Lisa's birthday, and I thought it was going to be more about me and Lisa's birthdays. Then we see unseen footage of Lisa, and this is weird though, you guys. Why do you think that Bravo cut out the fact that it was Lisa's birthday that day? Because none of us heard that until now. And clearly there was footage, because we're seeing it all now, where every time Lisa met someone at the party, she told them it was her birthday that day. And she even has Jen's rose gold microphone and is singing happy birthday to herself at one point. But you guys, the thing that had me rolling on the floor was they showed the cake for Meredith, and it was like 4 guys brought out this like 4-tier cake. And there was a cake for Lisa. It's about this big. It was like a little square, and it said Lisa Barlow. Oh my God. That was so funny to me. Oh my gosh, so funny. Okay, I know you like that lipstick. So, believe it or not, after that, Lisa defends Jen. There is trouble in paradise between Lisa and Meredith. Because Meredith was sticking up for Lisa by saying, I thought it would be more for both of us, and I didn't think that was right. Lisa just said, I don't think Jen did that on purpose. Okay, so the gloves come off for Lisa and Heather now. Lisa claims that she went up to Heather several times at that birthday party. Heather claims she's been dismissed by Lisa. Lisa's like, oh, there's that word again, dismissed. And Heather's like, yeah, because you dismissed me. Lisa denies it, and at one point Lisa goes, I went up to you, roll footage. But the funny part is, Bravo does roll footage. And my first thought when they rolled the footage was, well, it's proving Heather's point. Because Heather was talking to, I think it was Meredith and Brooks. And then Lisa walked up, and Heather kind of made a point of saying, oh, hello. And then it looked like Lisa walked away. So I was confused, except, you know what? I went back and I watched it about 3 times. I know. And now I'm not sure. I mean, it looked like they were both awkward and just kind of aborted. You know, like they were going to hug and then just kind of turned. I don't know. But it was funny that the roll footage. And Heather goes, there's no roll footage. But I will say this. I love that Lisa is trying to take control of this reunion. You know, like she's an event planner. So I think this is like, I don't know. She's just probably not used to relinquishing control. I'm surprised she's not behind one of the cameras. Heather gets asked if she is a good time girl, because that's what Lisa accused her of being. Well, Lisa said that she was told by a couple of women that knew Heather in college that she was a good time girl. And Heather said, I talked to those people that you claim told you that, and they both denied it. But she did tell Andy, well, I am a good time. I'm a good time girl. But just not in college? Andy's like, okay, let's move on, Lisa. No, we're not going to move on. Andy's like, oh, okay. Heather says to Andy, she's in charge. Next, a viewer asks Whitney if she thinks that Lisa is jealous of her after she made some nasty comments about her stripper pole. And Whitney said, no, I don't think she's jealous of me. I just think Lisa thinks she's better than me. Lisa, of course, denies feeling that way. She said, I have never said I was better than you. I don't think I'm better than you. She said, I just think it was inappropriate for you to be twerking in front of some other woman's husband. And she's talking about Sharif's birthday party. Now, Jen didn't care, right? Because Jen was actually holding her legs and supporting her. But then Lisa goes, I'm not judging. I mean, I don't care. But you are judging. You just said you don't think it's appropriate that she was twerking in front of someone else's husband. That's a judgment. You're perfectly entitled to it. I just don't deny it. And you can't say you don't care. You clearly do. Anyway, Whitney just maintains that she thinks that Lisa likes to take these opportunities to look down on her. Next, a viewer is calling Mary out on wearing that green loofah Valentino dress to Jen's party. Mary defends it. She says that she loved it, and not everyone could fit into that dress, and not everyone could pull it off. Okay, maybe not everyone could fit into it because you are a tiny little thing. But at least according to Kyla from Jacksonville, Florida, even you couldn't pull it off. We move on to Jen, and during her package, she's visiting her father's gravesite, and the camera shows Heather tearing up. So when that's over, Andy asks her about it, and she said that her dad just passed away in April. And then Mary said, yeah, mine too. And everyone's like, oh God, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And she's like smiling. Mary is odd, isn't she? Her reactions to things, I don't know, they seem off. And this is so weird, and I have absolutely zero reason to believe this, but it made me question whether she was lying about that. I'm sure she wasn't. But the fact that the way she said it and her behavior kind of around it, I don't know how to explain it. Like sort of this one-upping thing. Yeah, mine too. I'm not even sure what I'm trying to say, but there's something off about Mary. There's something about Mary. Now a viewer is asking Jen about plastic surgery, and she said that she hasn't had anything done to her face except for Botox and fillers. And she did have a broken nose reset because when Omar was a little baby, he accidentally headbutted her in the nose and broke her nose. But she hasn't had any other plastic surgery. So then Whitney said, I've had it all. I've had Botox. I've had filler in my lips. And then she goes, these are natural. And then Andy's like, are they bigger since like before, like with that bathing suit scene? And she said, yeah. No, she said they were just higher. Fortunately, Bravo provides us with a handy split screen so that we can compare and contrast. You guys, the viewer questions have been brutal. I know some of you think that it's just like Bravo staff that is coming up with these questions and pretending they're from people around the country. I don't know. Either way, these questions are mean. They want to know why Jen needs so many assistants and what each of them does for her. So Jen has to explain that she owns a company and she's very busy, and each one of them does different things. It's not just for personal assistance, but assistance for the business and things like that. I guess, I don't know. She said her background is in direct response marketing, and for 20 years she's been doing that, which was a little confusing for me, but the gist of it is that her company is behind those pop-up ads that are targeted to certain people based on, websites they've gone to before, shopping patterns and stuff like that. Her company, I think, figures out the algorithms for that. I think that's sort of right. Another viewer questions why Sharif is gone so often. He's not even the head coach. So Jen said, well, you know what? If he was the head coach, he'd be home more because then he could delegate some of this stuff to others and he would have more say in when he travels and when he doesn't. As it is, he has to be the one that travels and goes to meet all these kids. I think he's a recruiter too, maybe. Did I hear that somewhere? I don't know. Side note, very curious what he's doing during COVID. Has he been home this whole time? And how has that changed the dynamic of their relationship? I wish that was asked. I mean, this was only the first part of a 3-part reunion. I forgot to mention that. So maybe they will get to that. She talked about how upset she was with him and that he knew that she was mad when her father passed away and he was at a game and she just had to call him and he couldn't be there. So when he came home, she said, I think I might have even put his stuff out and said, get out. But then she says she signed up for this. She knew his job when she got into it. She knew what his job was. She knew it required a lot of travel and that she just didn't know how she would feel about it until it started happening, I guess probably didn't realize how lonely she would be, maybe. I don't know. Okay, if you think I'm kidding about how mean these questions are, the next viewer question is also for Jen. Jen, for a woman in her 50s, you throw tantrums like a child. Do you think you might be setting a bad example for your children? And Jen's like, well, first of all, I'm not in my 50s. And then Andy goes, yeah, I was going to ask you, are you in your 50s? And she goes, no, I'm 48. And all the other ladies were like, yeah, that was rude. So she's like, what was the question? Because I was thrown off by, like, I'm 50. The ladies get into an argument now about whether Jen is triggered by Mary. Mary says, just the mere mention of her name triggers Jen. Jen kind of denies that, but Heather and Whitney both agree with Mary. Yes, she triggers Jen. Lisa, of course, disagrees. I don't think that. A viewer asked Heather if she ever got an apology from Jen for screaming at her when all she was trying to do was get her drunk ass in the car at Whitney's 1920s party. And Heather said, no, she never apologized. And she goes, oh, well, I'm sorry. I thank you for getting me in Shaw's car. Andy's like, come on. And she goes, what? I'm sorry, genuinely. And he goes, okay, it didn't seem like it. Well, Heather doesn't think that was enough of an apology either. But she's like, it doesn't matter because I'm always going to look out for you. That's the kind of friend I am. Well, Mary thinks that's stupid. Mary's like, you should treat someone the way they treat you. And if you're being nice to her, she should be nice to you. So Jen said, Mary, maybe you should take your own advice. And Mary goes, oh, no, I don't want to be friends with you, Jen. That's the difference. Do you understand that? She's so mean. We talk about Jen and what Brooks said about seeing her Vajayjay. And she said, I feel really bad about that because I care about Meredith's kids. And I had no idea there was any problem at all that night. And Andy's like, well, you knew that they left to go to Best Buy. I just think that's funny. You knew they left to go to Best Buy. And she goes, yeah, but I didn't know they had a problem with me. The only time that I saw Brooks was upset was because he went upstairs and he saw Meredith smoking and he was mad about that. And Meredith goes, yeah, he didn't like that, but that's not the reason. Jen claims she never knew that night that the kids were upset. She goes, why did you invite me to spend the night then, if you were mad at me about that? And Meredith goes, I don't think you intentionally tried to rattle my children, but you are a big personality. And there were high leg kicks with no underwear. And Andy goes, so did Brooks see her vagina? And Meredith said, yes. And Jen's like, no. She's like, when that whole Vajayjaygate thing was going on, I specifically never mentioned Brooks in any of the tweets or the Instagram posts. Meredith claims that she did attack Brooks on social media. And Andy wanted something specific because she is angrily denying it. And Andy wants proof then. And he said, well, what specifically did she say about Brooks? And Meredith said, she called him white privileged. Okay, time out. First of all, Brooks is white privileged. I don't know how you can look at that any other way. You're white and you were born into a lot of privilege. I mean, you are what you are. But secondly, I don't really think that's attacking. Being white and being privileged doesn't mean you have to be an asshole. I think Meredith took that leap, but you could be a good person even though you happen to be white and privileged. So just calling someone white and privileged isn't really an attack. In my opinion, you guys, you can have your own opinions, and I'm sure you will leave them in the comments below. That's fine. But I don't know. I don't think it was that bad. And furthermore, this is the actual tweet she's talking about. It's Jen replying to somebody. I don't know who this person is. It could just be a fan. I don't know. But it's Jen's reply, and it says, are you serious? I never went spread eagle. It's completely insane to me that not only did you all see I didn't, but because a white privileged family tells you I did, you somehow think I did something wrong. So, Meredith, she was calling you white privileged too. That was definitely not singling out Brooks. In general, I'm not taking Jen's side because Jen has behaved insanely. But in this particular instance, you know me. I go case by case. And in this case, I'm on Jen's side. Okay, so then there seems to be some confusion as to whether Jen was invited to sleep over that night, which is Jen's story, or whether Jen just passed out in Meredith's bed, which is Meredith's story. Jen is so upset about it and getting it right, and she said, "Are you kidding? 2 hours and you passed out and all this stuff." And Meredith kind of backs off. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean Jen is right and Meredith is wrong. Meredith could just be like, all right, I'm not going to engage with you. It could just be that she was wanting to move past it. But I have a feeling Jen was invited to stay because honestly, Brooks probably didn't even tell his mom how upset he was until after the fact, you know? All right, so now Andy asks all the ladies if they sympathize with Jen after having a further understanding of why she acts out. And Heather said, yeah, I think we all sympathize with Jen. Mary goes, yes, you all do, except me. And I was laughing because I thought she meant you all sympathize with her, but I don't. No, what she meant was you all sympathize with Jen, but you don't sympathize with me. Yes, because now Mary is complaining that she gets treated maliciously, but they all run to her. So, yeah. Like nice double standard. And Lisa goes, Mary, that was snarky. I'm kind to both of you. Lisa cracks me up. Mary goes, you're not kind to me. And Lisa's like, I am. If you only knew how kind I was to you. Wait a minute. Why wouldn't she know? You're not kind to her face? You're just kind to her behind her back? Next, we get a whole Lisa package. And let me just say, not very flattering for Lisa. I don't love it. It's a lot about how Lisa loves Lisa more than anybody else. And a lot of business is more important than family scenes. So when we cut back to her and they question her about that time she didn't take the call from the babysitter, I think a viewer, of course it was a viewer, they're so mean today. A viewer asked, what if that was something important? Your babysitter is calling to tell you, you know. And then she starts to break down and she says, Jack and Henry are everything to me. They're the best thing I've ever done. Listen, I don't think she should be accused of being a bad mom. That's harsh. Her stories, I don't know if they add up or not, but she said that they have a concierge doctor on call and her husband's there and he told her to just worry about the event that night and he would take care of things at home. So I don't know where the truth is. She could be right. But if that's the case, I would think the babysitter would have been told, don't bother Lisa unless it's an emergency, right? Well, we break up all this heavy stuff with a little levity, a viewer question to Whitney saying, I know you're not a swinger, but if you were, what couple of the other housewives would you like to swing with? And she said, to be honest, Mary and her grandfather. No, I'm just kidding. Could you imagine wanting to swing with Mary and her grandfather? No, what she said was, to be honest, Meredith, but not Seth. Which, you know what? I get it. We're still on Lisa and her relationships with the other women. All the other women feel a certain way about her, and she feels misunderstood. She's actually not cold and bitchy. She's warm and nurturing. I don't know how everybody else could get that so wrong, but yeah. Mary's so strange. Mary's trying to give her advice, I think, by saying that she's because Mary's very confident too. Mary's like, but I don't make people feel less than. And Lisa goes, actually, you do, Mary. Mary goes, like who? And she said, Jen. And she goes, other than Jen. Because, Jen doesn't count because Mary doesn't like her. So Lisa goes, the people at your church. Yeah, because we all witnessed that. And apparently Lisa just watched the show and saw how mean she was to her choir and the band. So Mary's response to that is, don't talk about my church. I don't talk about your alcohol business. Okay. Next, there's like a whole segment of Whitney and Heather and Lisa just talking over each other, fighting back and forth. Mary interjecting weird things every now and then. Lisa accuses them of creating a lie that caused Meredith not to be her friend anymore. Also, that Heather's comments have caused people to DM her all these mean things, that is calling her a mean girl and a bitch, all because of the way Heather portrayed her on the show. I kind of understand this, but also the cameras were on you too, Lisa. So I would think you had an opportunity to show people a different side of you and let them make their own judgments. Or maybe it was Bravo's edit, which I think Lisa was trying to allude to at the end there. They were talking over each other, but I think Lisa's point was that Bravo shows her in the drive-thru at Taco Bell, but they show Heather saying that Lisa has been mean to me. As always, the truth is probably in the middle there somewhere. But that is the end of part 1. I will be back next week with part 2 of the reunion, and also episode 1 of The Real Housewives of New Jersey is starting tonight. You don't want to miss that, and look for my recap of that next week as well. All right, please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already done so. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. I love to hear from you guys. Please be safe, wear a mask, wash your hands. I love you guys. Bye-bye.